The sky above Earth shimmered with colors no human had ever named. Ships from faraway stars often visited the planet for study or trade, but none had arrived like this. It was not huge or threatening, yet it radiated an elegance that caught every eye. The craft hovered silently above a lush valley, its surface reflecting sunlight in soft waves. From its hull, a smaller shuttle detached and descended toward the ground. Inside sat a single figure, unlike anything seen on Earth before. Princess Valira of the Zorathian Empire. Valira's appearance was unlike human forms. Her skin glimmered faintly, silver under the sunlight, and her eyes were deep violet, glowing faintly with curiosity and intelligence. She wore a uniform of flowing metallic fabric, embroidered with strange symbols that signified her royal status. Her movements were graceful, almost floating, as though the air itself welcomed her presence. Though her appearance was alien, there was an unmistakable sense of confidence and authority about her. The shuttle landed smoothly near the valley's edge. The humans sent to meet her, a team of diplomats and scientists, stepped forward cautiously. Among them was Captain Elias, a man in his early 30s, chosen for his experience in first-contact situations. Elias had trained for years to meet alien species, but nothing had prepared him for the intensity of Princess Valira's gaze. "Welcome to Earth," Elias said, bowing slightly. Though humans rarely bowed to each other, he knew it was a gesture of respect the aliens would recognize. Valira inclined her head, acknowledging his words. "I have come to observe your species," she said in a voice that sounded musical even when translated into Earth languages. "I am curious about the nature of humans." Her words were simple, but they carried weight. Elias felt a shiver of anticipation. Diplomats had always spoken of humans in political terms, leaders, negotiators, scientists, but to hear an alien princess speak of humans as a curiosity was different. She did not speak of power, resources, or technology. She spoke of them as living beings. Over the next several hours, Valira walked among the humans. She observed children playing in the fields, workers tending crops, and scientists conducting experiments. Every movement fascinated her. She noticed how humans laughed, stumbled, helped each other, and even argued. Their emotions were visible, clear in their gestures and expressions, something her species had mostly abandoned in favor of efficiency. Yet there was one aspect of humans that puzzled her most. During a quiet moment, as she floated above a small pond reflecting the morning sun, she asked Elias a question that caused him to pause. "Captain Elias," she said, her voice soft but firm, "tell me, how many times can a human mate in a single day?" Elias blinked, taken aback. He had expected curiosity about strength, endurance, or intelligence. But this, he thought quickly. The question was personal, yet it was not asked in a vulgar way. Valira was not mocking. She was genuinely trying to understand human limits. "It depends," Elias said finally, choosing his words carefully. "Humans are different from each other. Their stamina, their energy, it varies. But it is not just about the body. There is emotion, connection, even recovery." Valira's eyes narrowed slightly. "Explain," she said. Her tone was not impatient, only precise. She had grown accustomed to direct answers in her own society, where reproduction was a regulated process, calculated by numbers and cycles. To her, the idea of variability was confusing. Elias smiled faintly. "Humans cannot function like machines. We have limits, yes, but our limits are influenced by many things: health, mood, rest, and the bond between two people. That bond, it makes us stronger in ways you might not expect." Valira tilted her head, processing his words. She had seen reproduction in her own species as a process, a requirement, a duty. But humans made it meaningful. This was foreign and intriguing. She had traveled across galaxies and studied countless species, but the combination of physical, stamina, and emotional depth in humans was unlike anything she had encountered. "I wish to understand," she said quietly. "I wish to observe scientifically, but I do not wish to violate your customs. Elias nodded. We can do that, but it must be careful, respectful, and scientific. You will see humans' endurance without invading their privacy. For the rest of the day, Valera followed humans at a distance, recording data and making notes. She watched farmers rise before dawn, work under the sun, and return home with energy to care for their families. She observed athletes training, pushing their bodies, testing limits. She watched children playing tirelessly, laughing and running until exhausted, only to rise and play again. She began to understand that humans had remarkable stamina, but it was not only physical. Their resilience, adaptability, and joy fueled them. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the valley, Valera floated above the humans with a thoughtful expression. Elias approached her. You have seen much today, he said. What do you think? Valera's eyes reflected the sunset. I do not fully understand. Humans are unpredictable. You do not act in purely logical ways. You take risks, you rest, you laugh, and yet you endure. It is impressive. Elias smiled. That's us. We survive not just because we are strong, but because we are adaptable. We have limits, yes, but those limits are flexible. Valera considered his words. Flexible, yes. I am beginning to see. But your original question, humans can do this many times? She asked again, pointing vaguely to the concept of mating. How do you sustain? Elias laughed softly, realizing that no amount of diplomatic training could prepare him for explaining this to a princess from a species without intimacy, as humans knew it. Princess, he said, it is not just the body. It is mind, heart, and body together. Humans are strong, but what makes us remarkable is that we care. We recover because we want to, because of connection and willpower. That is why the number of times is not fixed. It changes depending on many things. Valera's violet eyes widened slightly. Connection, willpower, emotions. Fascinating. I have never seen reproduction combined with resilience of this kind. On my planet, it is purely functional. The princess drifted in silence for a moment, studying humans from above. She began to see a pattern, not of numbers or cycles, but of behavior, stamina, and emotion combined. Humans were not just strong, they were unpredictable, resilient, and extraordinary. Elias watched her carefully. You are asking about limits because you want to understand humans. You do not need exact numbers, you only need to see their spirit. Valera nodded slowly. Yes, the spirit. That is enlightening. I must study more. As the night fell, the valley became quiet, but Valera remained awake, recording observations and contemplating what she had seen. She had come expecting data and science, but she had found something far more intriguing, a species that combined physical capability with emotional depth, intelligence, and unpredictability. In her private chamber on the shuttle, she activated her holographic journal. Streams of data and notes filled the air. But alongside them, she added personal reflections, something her species rarely allowed. Humans are strange, she wrote. Their strength is not just in the body, it is in the mind, the heart, the bond between one and another. I do not yet understand all, but I am learning. I must learn more. For Captain Elias, the day had been remarkable as well. He realized that the princess's curiosity was genuine, her respect real. She did not come to conquer or judge. She came to understand. And in doing so, she might come to appreciate humans in a way the galaxy rarely did. As the stars appeared, in the sky the shuttle's lights glimmered softly against the darkness. Valera looked out, contemplating Earth below and the humans who lived there. She had asked a simple question, and the answer had opened a world of complexity and wonder. It was only the beginning. Princess Valera sat quietly in the observation chamber aboard her shuttle, her violet eyes fixed on the holographic display floating in front of her. It It showed various human activities: athletes running, workers lifting heavy loads, children playing, and families laughing together. She had spent an entire day watching humans, yet the puzzle of their stamina and resilience remained. She was fascinated not by their strength alone, but by the way humans combined effort, emotion, and willpower. Captain Elias entered the chamber carrying a small data pad. He had noticed her intense focus from the start. "Princess," he said, gently, "you seem very interested in human limits. Shall we discuss them?" Valira turned to him, her expression serious. "Yes, Captain. I wish to understand. You told me yesterday that humans' strength is not only physical. Explain this clearly." Elias nodded. "Very well. Humans have something we call physiology. That is how the body works. But our bodies are only one part. The mind and the heart, emotions, willpower, motivation, they are equally important. Together they determine our limits." Valira floated closer to the hologram. "Emotions, willpower? You speak of feelings. On my planet, reproduction and stamina are purely functional. Logic decides everything. Humans combine logic with feeling?" "Yes," Elias said, smiling faintly. "Humans are unusual that way. For example, a person may be tired physically, but if they are motivated or connected to someone they care for, they can continue longer than expected. That is why exact numbers do not apply. Humans vary." Valira considered this. Her mind, trained to calculate and predict outcomes, struggled with unpredictability. So, a human may continue or endure not because the body allows it, but because the mind wills it? Elias nodded. "Exactly. And that makes humans very difficult to measure. We are flexible, not rigid. We adapt." Valira's eyes narrowed slightly. "Adaptable? Yes. But tell me, Captain Elias, how do humans recover? I observed humans resting and then performing tasks again with energy. This recovery is efficient. Is it purely biological?" Elias leaned against the wall, thinking carefully. "Partly. Rest, nutrition, and sleep help the body recover. But mental attitude and emotional connection speed recovery. Happiness, love, excitement, they all add energy. It sounds strange, but humans can recover faster when they care about what they do or who they are with." Valira floated above the display, absorbing this information. "So humans' stamina is not just physical, it is emotional, psychological, even social?" "Yes," Elias said. "You see, humans' endurance is a combination of body, mind, and heart. It is more than numbers. It is life itself." The princess paused, her gaze drifting toward a holographic simulation of human activity. She noticed workers carrying heavy supplies in the heat. After resting, they returned to work. She saw athletes running long distances, yet laughing with each other, seeming almost to gain energy from companionship. Even children, after falling and scraping knees, got up and played again without complaint. Valira's curiosity deepened. This is unlike any species I have studied. Most species follow strict cycles. Strength is finite and predictable. Humans are extraordinary. Captain, I wish to study this more directly. Can I observe human activity in controlled environments?" Elias smiled. "Of course, Princess. We can arrange it scientifically. You can see endurance tests, mental challenges, teamwork exercises, all without invading privacy. You'll learn about limits safely." The following day, they traveled to a human research facility. It was modern but simple, with labs, training rooms, and observation areas. Valira floated silently above the grounds, her senses absorbing everything. Scientists and trainers guided her through human activity simulations. First, she observed an endurance course. Humans ran, climbed, and lifted objects in timed challenges. Valira noticed that some humans struggled physically, yet continued because of encouragement from teammates. When exhausted, they paused briefly, breathed deeply, and returned with energy. She began to see that humans were not just strong. They were motivated by social bonds and mental determination. Next, Valera observed mental challenges. Humans solved complex puzzles, navigated mazes, and performed delicate tasks while under stress. She noted that when humans were encouraged, laughed, or enjoyed the challenge, their focus and performance improved. Elias explained that mental endurance and physical stamina often work together. A strong mind could push a body farther than the body alone could manage. Valera's mind swirled with questions. So, humans' capacity is not fixed. It is influenced by environment, emotion, and social interaction? Yes, Elias said. It is flexible. That is why your original question about mating cannot have a single number. Humans are different from each other, and their limits depend on many factors. Valera drifted to a small observation chamber overlooking a training field. She watched two humans engage in cooperative tasks, lifting a heavy object, balancing on beams, and coordinating movements. They smiled, laughed, and encouraged each other. Even when one grew tired, the other helped, and together they completed the challenge. I see now, Valera said quietly. It is not the body alone. The bond between humans strengthens them physically. Fascinating. On my planet, reproduction is mechanical, functional. Humans combine function with connection. Elias nodded. Exactly. Humans do not just survive. They thrive together. Our strength grows when we connect, emotionally and socially. That is part of what makes humans remarkable. Valera studied the humans in silence. She noticed small details, how they smiled at each other, how they supported one another, how laughter seemed to energize them. It was not magic. It was biology, psychology, and emotion working together. But to her it seemed like a power beyond calculation, a kind of human miracle. Captain Elias, she said after a long pause, I wish to understand this fully. I wish to observe humans in multiple scenarios, not only physically, but emotionally, socially, and mentally. Can I? You may, Elias replied. We will arrange observations carefully, scientifically, and respectfully. You will see the limits of humans, not as machines, but as living beings. Over the next days, Valera conducted observations. She saw humans compete in games, cooperate in difficult tasks, and recover from exhaustion. She noted that those who were motivated by care or friendship often performed better than those relying solely on physical skill. She realized that humans' stamina was inseparable from their emotions and relationships. One evening she asked Elias a question she had not yet voiced aloud. Captain, humans, do they ever exceed their limits? Can they continue when the body says no? Elias smiled. Sometimes. Not always. But humans have a trait called willpower. When the mind and heart are strong enough, the body can do more than expected. It is not guaranteed, but it happens. That is part of our unpredictability. Valera's eyes widened slightly. Unpredictable? That is strange. On my planet, all is predictable. Strength is measured, cycles are calculated. Humans defy calculation. Yes, Elias said, and that is why we survive in ways other species do not. We adapt, we endure, we find solutions, and we care while doing it. The princess floated in thought, absorbing all she had learned. She began to see the connection between human stamina, recovery, and emotion. She realized that the answer to her original question, the one that had startled Captain Elias, was not a number at all. It was a reflection of humanity itself, flexible, adaptable, resilient, and bound together by care and connection. As the day ended, Valera activated her personal journal. Streams of holographic data filled the air, but alongside them, she began writing her reflections. Humans are not simple, she wrote. They are not machines. They are resilient in mind, heart, and body. They are unpredictable, yet organized. They are physical, yet emotional. The combination is remarkable. I do not yet understand all, but I see their strength. I must continue observing. Elias approached quietly. Princess, it seems you are learning a lot. Yes, Valera said. More than I expected. Humans are extraordinary. I must see more. I wish to understand fully, not only how they endure, but why they endure. Elias nodded. Then you will see. Humans endure because they care, because they adapt, because they want to. That is our secret. Valera looked out over the research facility, watching humans move, laugh, work, and support each other. For the first time in her life, she felt a kind of admiration that went beyond logic. These creatures, small and fragile at first glance, carried within them a strength unlike any she had encountered, and for the first time she wondered if the galaxy had underestimated humans entirely. The next morning, Princess Valera awoke aboard her shuttle with a sense of excitement. The previous days had revealed much about human endurance, adaptability, and emotion, but she felt she had only seen the surface. Her curiosity was no longer satisfied with observation alone. She wanted to understand the extremes of human capability. Captain Elias entered the chamber, carrying a small tablet with several charts. Princess, he said, today we will see how humans handle more complex challenges, not only physical but mental and social as well. Valera's violet eyes glimmered. Excellent. Show me. They traveled to a specialized human training facility. This facility was designed to test humans in multiple dimensions: strength, agility, mental problem-solving, and teamwork. It was also safe and controlled, so no one would be harmed. The first test was an endurance challenge. Humans climbed, lifted, and ran through obstacle courses under different conditions. Valera observed closely as participants pushed themselves to the limits of physical capability. Some struggled, some stumbled, but most continued. What caught her attention was not just the physical strength, but the encouragement they gave each other. A human who appeared exhausted could suddenly find energy when a teammate cheered them on. Captain Elias, Valera said, this cooperation, it strengthens the humans physically. Yes, Elias replied. Emotional support adds energy and determination. Humans draw strength from each other. It is not just the muscles, it is the bond. Valera floated above the course, fascinated. She had never seen a species combine teamwork, emotion, and physical endurance in such a seamless way. On Zorath, the strongest survived alone, but humans seemed to thrive together. Next, she observed mental challenges. Humans solved puzzles, navigated mazes, and performed delicate tasks while under stress. Valera noticed a striking pattern. When participants were calm, relaxed, or encouraged by friends, their performance improved. They were faster, more precise, and more creative. This is unusual, Valera murmured. Their minds influence the body directly. Logic alone would not explain this. Motivation, emotion, it enhances ability. Elias nodded. Exactly. Humans are complex. Strength is not only measured in force or speed, it is a combination of mind, body, and heart. Intrigued, Valera asked to see humans at rest and recovery. They brought her to a quiet area where humans practiced meditation, took short breaks, or spent time with companions. She watched as a runner, exhausted from an earlier course, rested briefly beside a teammate. Their laughter and conversation seemed to rejuvenate him. When he returned to the course, he performed better than before. This energy transfer, Valera said, it is fascinating. Physical fatigue is reduced by mental and social factors. Humans are adaptive. Yes, Elias said. Humans can recover faster than expected when motivated or emotionally engaged. That is part of our resilience. Valera's curiosity deepened. Captain Elias, may I witness humans in more extreme conditions? Not harmful, but challenging. We may, he replied. We can arrange controlled simulations where humans face difficult physical and mental tasks together. You will see their true limits. Over the next several hours, Valira observed humans tackling combined challenges. They had to climb, carry objects, solve puzzles, and communicate effectively, all while under mild stress. Some humans struggled at first, but with encouragement and teamwork, they adapted. Those who appeared weakest often became strongest when they supported each other and shared ideas. Valira began to understand a critical point. Humans were not limited by raw physical ability alone. Their intelligence, adaptability, and emotional connection allowed them to exceed expectations. Later, Valira asked to see humans in competitive activities. She observed races, games, and cooperative contests. In one game, humans had to build a structure using limited materials under time pressure. Some participants were physically strong but lacked ideas. Others were clever but lacked energy. Yet together they succeeded. Interesting, Valira said aloud. Alone, humans have limits. Together they surpass them. They combine strength, intelligence, and cooperation. Elias nodded. Yes, that is humanity. We survive because we adapt. We thrive because we work together and care for one another. We are unpredictable, but effective. The princess floated above the field, reflecting. She remembered her question, from days ago, about how many times humans could mate in a day. She realized now that the question was far deeper than she first imagined. It was not about the body alone. It was about mind, heart, connection, and resilience. Humans' limits were flexible because humans themselves were flexible. Later, she requested a demonstration of human recovery. A group of volunteers performed strenuous physical activity until visibly tired. Then, instead of resting in isolation, they spent time interacting with each other, sharing food, laughing, and telling stories. Within a short time, their performance improved dramatically. This is remarkable, Valira whispered. They recover faster when emotionally engaged. It is unlike any species I know. On Zorath, recovery is mechanical. On Earth, it is living. Elias smiled. That is humanity. We are not machines. Our limits are influenced by connection, emotion, and willpower. That is why we endure. The princess paused, her mind racing. She had traveled across galaxies, studied countless species, yet humans were unique. Their combination of adaptability, resilience, intelligence, and emotion made them unpredictable and powerful in ways no mechanical or purely logical species could match. You said humans endure because they care, Valira said. Even in physical tasks, emotion strengthens them. Yes, Elias replied. Emotion, motivation, and social bonds influence performance. Humans thrive on connection. We endure because we want to, because we care, because we are adaptable. Valera nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. She floated silently above the humans, observing their interactions. She noticed small details, how a smile encouraged effort, how laughter relieved stress, how teamwork allowed even the weakest to succeed. This is extraordinary, she said quietly. Humans are not merely physical creatures. Their strength comes from mind, heart, and collaboration. They defy calculation. Elias watched her closely. That is what makes humans remarkable. Our limits are flexible because we are flexible. We adapt, we endure, we thrive, and we care while doing it. The princess's violet eyes reflected admiration. I came expecting to measure limits, but I see now. Humans' true power is not numbers or cycles. It is their adaptability, intelligence, and emotional depth. Their resilience is living, not mechanical. As evening fell, Valira returned to her shuttle. She activated her personal journal, recording observations and reflections. Holographic streams of data filled the chamber, but alongside them she wrote, "Humans are extraordinary. Their limits are flexible because they combine mind, heart, and body. They recover not only with rest but with connection. They endure not only through strength, but through willpower and emotion. I must study more, for this combination is unlike any species I have seen. Elias entered quietly. Princess, you seem to understand much today. Yes, she said, her voice soft. More than I expected. Humans are remarkable. They combine strength, intelligence, and care. They adapt. They endure, and they inspire admiration. I must continue observing to see the full extent of their abilities. He smiled. Then you will see. Humans are more than their limits. We are more than numbers. That is why the galaxy often underestimates us. Valira nodded, her mind filled with wonder. She had come to Earth with curiosity and questions, but she was leaving each day with more than data. She was leaving with understanding and respect. For the first time, she realized that the galaxy's perception of humans as simple or weak was entirely wrong. Humans were complex, adaptable, resilient, and connected in ways few species could comprehend. They could endure more than expected, recover faster than calculated, and succeed where logic alone might fail. And in that realization, Valira felt something new: fascination. Not only as a scientist observing a species, but as an admirer recognizing a strength unlike any she had encountered. The shuttle's lights dimmed as night fell over the research facility. Valira gazed at the humans below, their laughter and conversation echoing faintly in her ears. She understood now that endurance, stamina, and limits were not merely physical. They were living expressions of connection, care, and willpower. And that was a lesson no numbers, no calculations, no mechanical system could ever teach. Princess Valira floated silently above the human training ground, her violet eyes reflecting the soft glow of early morning. After days of careful observation, she had witnessed humans in countless situations, physical challenges, mental puzzles, and social interactions. Each experience had revealed a new layer of their endurance, adaptability, and resilience. But now, she began to see a deeper truth, one that went far beyond body and mind. Captain Elias appeared beside her, carrying a small data tablet. "Good morning, Princess," he said. "Today we will observe humans in combined tasks, physical, mental, and social, all at once. You will see their limits tested in ways that will surprise you." Valira inclined her head. "Yes, I am ready. I wish to understand not only how humans endure, but why they endure. I have seen their strength. Now I want to know their essence." Elias led her to a large training field. Humans were already preparing for the combined challenge, lifting, climbing, solving puzzles, and working as teams under mild stress conditions. The tasks were difficult but nothing dangerous. Valira noted the careful balance between challenge and safety, a reflection of human intelligence and foresight. As the challenge began, Valira's attention was drawn to small, subtle details. A human who stumbled received immediate encouragement from teammates. A group working on a puzzle shared ideas, laughed at mistakes, and celebrated small successes. Even when exhausted, participants pushed forward, motivated not by orders but by care for each other and determination to succeed. "Captain Elias," Valira said softly, "these humans, they do not act for reward or command. They act because they care. Their endurance grows from connection, not necessity." Elias smiled. "Exactly. Humans are strongest when we care for each other, for the task, for our purpose. That is why limits are flexible. That is why we endure." Valira observed for hours. She noticed patterns she had never seen before. Humans could recover quickly, when encouraged, perform better under shared effort, and solve problems creatively even when tired. Their physical limits were intertwined with emotional resilience and mental sharpness. She began to understand a profound truth. Human strength was not merely physical, it was living, adaptive, and dynamic. Later she requested to observe humans at rest and reflection. They sat in circles, talking quietly, laughing softly, or simply enjoying the calm. Valera noted how these moments of social connection seemed to restore energy almost magically. A participant who had struggled earlier now performed with renewed vigor, inspired by laughter and shared encouragement. This is remarkable," Valera murmured. "They recover faster through connection, through care, through emotion. On my planet, recovery is mechanical, calculated. Humans recover because they live fully." Elias nodded. "Yes, and that is why humans are unpredictable. You cannot measure us by strength alone. We are more than the sum of our bodies. We endure because our hearts and minds give us power beyond calculation." The princess reflected on her original question, the one she had asked when she first arrived on Earth. How many times could a human mate in a day? At first she had expected a simple answer, perhaps a number calculated with precision, but now she understood that the question could not have a single answer. Humans' capacity was flexible, influenced by connection, emotion, willpower, and physical readiness. She floated in silence, contemplating. "Captain Elias, I understand now. The answer is not a number. It is humanity. The limits are not fixed because humans are not machines. Their strength grows with connection, resilience, and care. Their endurance is living." Elias nodded. "Exactly. That is what makes humans extraordinary. We survive not only through strength, but through adaptability, emotion, and intelligence. That is why the galaxy often underestimates us." Valera watched a small group of humans finish the day's challenge. They were tired, but they smiled, laughed, and congratulated each other. The joy on their faces, the energy in their voices, and the bond they shared fascinated her. She realized that human endurance was inseparable from emotion, intelligence, and social connection. This combination made humans unpredictable yet extraordinarily effective. Later, in a private observation chamber, Valera spoke to Elias. "I have seen much, Captain. I have observed humans at work, at play, and in challenge. I have seen them recover, adapt, and endure, but I feel there is more, something deeper." Elias considered her words. "Yes, Princess. Humans' greatest strength is not in body alone. It is in their spirit, the desire to connect, to improve, to persevere. It is why we thrive, why we endure, and why we succeed where others fail. Our limits are flexible because our will is strong." Valera nodded slowly. She began to understand that humans' unpredictability was not a weakness. It was their greatest strength. They could adapt to unexpected challenges, recover from setbacks, and inspire each other to exceed expectations. Their capacity for endurance was tied to their intelligence, emotions, and bonds with others. The princess paused and reflected on her society, where strength and reproduction were purely functional. Every act was calculated, every cycle predetermined. There was no room for flexibility, no room for emotion to influence physical capability. Humans, by contrast, combined unpredictability with purpose, emotion with effort, and resilience with care. This is extraordinary," Valera whispered. "Humans are not simple. They are living systems of mind, body, and heart. They endure because they care. They adapt because they want. They thrive because they inspire each other." Elias smiled. "That is humanity. Our power is not just physical, it is living, adaptive, and unpredictable. That is why the galaxy often misunderstands us. That is why humans are remarkable." The princess reflected quietly. She realized now that the galaxy's perception of humans as weak or primitive was entirely wrong. Humans were strong not only in body, but in mind, heart, and spirit. They could endure, recover, adapt, and thrive in ways no purely mechanical or logical species could. Later, as the sun set, Valera activated her personal journal. Streams of data filled the chamber, but alongside them, she wrote her reflections. "Humans are extraordinary. Their strength is not merely physical, but living. They endure because of connection, care, and willpower. They adapt because they think, feel, and inspire each other. Their limits are not fixed but flexible. I have never seen such resilience in any species. I must continue observing to understand the full depth of human capability. Elias entered, quietly. Princess, it seems you have reached a new understanding. Yes, Valira said softly. I have learned that humans' power is not just in what they can do physically. It is in how they live, how they care, how they adapt, and how they endure. I must see more. I must understand fully. He nodded. Then you will. Humans' limits are endless because they are living, not mechanical. You have seen part of it, but there is more. Their unpredictability is their strength. Their resilience is their power. The princess gazed out of the observation chamber, looking at humans preparing to rest after a long day. She noted their laughter, conversation, and companionship. She realized now that the answer to her original question was not a number. It was a truth about the species itself. Humans were strong, resilient, adaptable, and alive in a way the galaxy rarely understood. Valira closed her eyes for a moment, absorbing the lesson. She had come to Earth with curiosity and questions, expecting to observe, measure, and calculate. But what she had found was far more profound. Humans were extraordinary because they combined body, mind, heart, and spirit in ways no calculation could predict. They endured, recovered, and thrived not only through physical strength, but through connection, care, and adaptability. And in that realization, Valira felt something entirely new. Admiration, not merely for their strength or resilience, but for the living, breathing spirit that made humans extraordinary. She opened her journal and added one final reflection for the day. The galaxy underestimates humans. We are unpredictable, adaptable, and resilient. We endure not because we must, but because we can. We thrive not because we are forced, but because we care, connect, and persist. This is our power. This is our strength. And this is humanity. The shuttle's lights dimmed as night fell over the training grounds. Valira gazed at the humans below, their laughter and conversation echoing faintly in her ears. She understood now that endurance, strength, and recovery were inseparable from connection, emotion, and willpower. And that understanding would change how she viewed humans forever. The morning sun rose over the valley, painting the fields in gold and orange. Princess Valira floated above the land, her violet eyes reflecting the vibrant colors. For days, she had studied humans, observing their endurance, their adaptability, their intelligence, and, most importantly, their connection to one another. Each observation had revealed a new layer of the species, and she now understood that humans were unlike any other she had encountered in the galaxy. Captain Elias approached, carrying a small data tablet filled with records of her observations. "Princess," he said, "today is the final day of your visit. I hope you have learned much about humans." Valira turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Learned much? No, Captain Elias. I have learned more than I imagined. Humans are extraordinary. I came seeking answers to a simple question, and I have discovered a species of remarkable depth. Their strength is living, adaptive, and emotional. They endure because they care, they recover because they are connected, and they thrive because they inspire each other." Elias smiled. "That is humanity, Princess. We are not just physical beings. Our resilience comes from mind, heart, and spirit together. That is why humans survive, adapt, and accomplish more than many expect." Valira nodded slowly, drifting above a group of humans training in a large field. She watched them lift, run, solve problems, and cooperate. The energy between them was palpable. She had once thought limits were numbers or cycles, measurable and fixed. Now she realized that human limits were flexible because humans themselves were flexible. Their bodies, minds, and hearts were all connected, and that connection made them capable of far more than she had imagined. "Captain Elias," she said, "I wish to see humans one last time in combined activity. I want to observe their true spirit, not only their strength." Elias led her to a final demonstration. Humans were given a task that combined physical endurance, mental challenges, and teamwork. They lifted, ran, solved puzzles, and communicated under pressure. Valera watched fascinated as each human performed not only with strength and skill, but with encouragement, cooperation, and care for one another. When one faltered, another helped. When one hesitated, another guided. Together, they succeeded beyond what she thought possible. This is remarkable, Valera whispered. They are not merely individuals. They are a collective force, stronger because they care, because they adapt, because they support each other. They endure not only through strength, but through connection and willpower. Elias nodded. Yes, and that is why humans are often underestimated. Our power is not only in what we can do physically, but in how we live, think, and care for each other. That is why we thrive in ways others cannot predict. Valera's mind raced. She had traveled across the galaxy, studied countless species, and observed countless systems. Yet humans, small and seemingly fragile, possessed a strength no calculation could fully capture. They were adaptable, unpredictable, and resilient in ways that combined body, mind, and spirit. The galaxy's perception of humans as weak, primitive, or limited was entirely wrong. Humans were extraordinary. Later, she requested a quiet moment with Elias. "Captain," she said, "I have learned the truth. Humans' endurance is not a number, it is not a fixed measure. It is living, breathing, connected. They thrive because of heart, mind, and body together. They inspire each other, recover faster through connection, and surpass limits because they will themselves to do so. Their resilience is remarkable. Their spirit is extraordinary." Elias smiled, recognizing the respect in her voice. "That is humanity. You have seen only a part of it, but you understand the essence. Humans are strong because we are living beings, not machines. We endure because we care, adapt because we think, and thrive because we connect." Valera nodded. She floated silently, gazing at the humans below. She had once asked a simple question: how many times could humans mate in a day? At first, she had expected a precise number. Now she understood the answer was far greater and far more meaningful. It was not about physical capability alone. It was about connection, care, resilience, adaptability, and the living spirit that made humans who they were. "This is incredible," she murmured. "I came to measure limits, and I have discovered a species of remarkable depth. Humans are not just strong. They are living, adaptive, and connected. Their strength comes from life itself, from care, from willpower, from spirit. I respect them greatly." Elias nodded. "And that respect is well placed, Princess. Humans often surprise the galaxy because our power is not always obvious. But our adaptability, resilience, and connection make us capable of far more than others expect." As the day ended, Valera prepared to return to her home planet. She floated above the valley one last time, observing the humans as they continued their lives, training, laughing, helping each other, and living fully. She realized that she would leave Earth with not only data and records, but admiration, understanding, and respect for a species unlike any other. Before leaving, Valera addressed the humans she had observed. Her voice, translated into Earth language, carried both authority and warmth. "I have traveled across the galaxy and studied countless species. I have come to observe humans and understand your limits. What I have found is far beyond expectation. Humans are resilient, adaptable, and capable of greatness. Your strength is living, your spirit extraordinary. I leave Earth with respect, admiration, and wonder. The galaxy should not underestimate you." The humans below stood quietly, some smiling, some nodding. They felt the sincerity in her words. It was not a warning or a threat, but recognition. recognition that humans, in their adaptability and resilience, were capable of more than the galaxy often believed. Elias turned to Valera. "Princess, your words will be remembered. Humans rarely receive such recognition from another species, especially one as advanced as yours." Valera inclined her head. "I will remember it as well. Humans are extraordinary. I have learned much from observing you. Your strength is not only physical, but living, adaptive, and connected. You endure, recover, and thrive in ways no calculation can predict. I admire you." With that, she returned to her shuttle. The engines hummed softly, and the craft lifted gracefully into the sky. As Earth receded below, Valera looked back at the humans she had observed, reflecting on everything she had learned. Humans endure not because they must, but because they live, care, and adapt, she wrote in her journal. They thrive not because they are ordered to, but because they inspire each other, because they think, and because they will themselves to succeed. They are extraordinary. They are living. They are remarkable. Elias watched quietly as the shuttle disappeared into the sky. He felt a sense of pride, knowing that humans had earned admiration from a species known across the stars for their intelligence and strength. They had shown resilience, adaptability, and connection, the qualities that made them extraordinary. Back aboard her home ship, Valera activated her full report. She included all the observations, data, and personal reflections. She knew that, when the report reached her people, it would change their perception of humans. They would no longer see humans as weak, simple, or limited. They would see them as living, adaptive, and capable in ways that were unexpected, even astonishing. For the first time, Valera realized that humans were more than a species to be studied. They were a species to be respected. Their endurance, flexibility, intelligence, and emotional connection gave them a unique power that few other civilizations possessed. She felt admiration, curiosity, and even inspiration from their way of life. As the shuttle moved through space toward her home planet, Valera wrote a final note in her journal. "The galaxy underestimates humans. They are unpredictable, adaptable, resilient, and connected. They endure not only through physical ability but through heart, mind, and spirit. Their limits are not fixed, but flexible. They thrive not because they are forced, but because they live, care, and will themselves to succeed. This is humanity, and it is extraordinary." The stars passed by as Valera's craft moved faster and faster. She thought of Earth, of the humans she had observed, of Captain Elias, and of the lessons she had learned. She had come with questions, expecting simple answers. She was leaving with understanding, admiration, and respect. Humans had shown her a kind of strength that no machine, calculation, or strict logic could ever measure. A living, adaptive power rooted in connection, resilience, and spirit. And in that realization, she knew the galaxy would never underestimate humans again.